Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
Hanff Korelitz is a very prolific writer, has been writing books for years, and yet she came out with a book fairly recently called The Plot, and everyone was talking about that book. And now Jean has another book, a novel called The Latecomer, and I couldn't put this book down either. I'm not going to tell you everything because I hate to do that with fiction, but it's about a pair of triplets, the Oppenheimer triplets, Harrison, Lewin, and Sally. And these are three siblings that you would think are tied all together. But the truth is, they hate each other.
They really can't stand one another.
Right? Can't stand
it. Absolutely.
And they're born to very wealthy, successful Jewish Americans. They live in Brooklyn Heights in a gorgeous home. They go to the vineyard. There's a family business. And the three of them are as different as can be. But I'm curious, Jean, all your books, we love hearing where they came from, what was going on. Where did this come from in your head?
Well, I think like many writers and maybe many people, I'm obsessed with families. I mean, families are kind of, for a novelist, families are just the gift that keeps on giving. You can write, 50 novels about families and none of them will be like any of the others. And in this case, I was thinking a lot about birth order and children born later into, technically the same family, but it's a different family if you let 5, 10, 15, 18 years in this case go by between the kids. And then when you add, infertility interventions, there's a whole other layer of randomness and kind of human interference. And in this case, there are 4 embryos sharing a petri dish. 3 go into the mom, and they're the ones that are not supposed to make it. It's the 4th one who's going to be sent off to somebody with a more competent, reproductive system.
Right.
But in fact, all 3 of these triplets, survive and become the Oppenheimer triplets. And only 18 years later did the parents make this kind of crazy decision to have that 4th child. And, my question was always, what has to be happening in a family for that to seem like a good idea? Something has got to be really, really wrong in a family to make that crazy decision.
Well, and there's a lot of conflict in this family. And surprising conflict, and things happen all the time. And these triplets not only don't want to deal with their mother and father, but they can't stand each other.
No, and they don't really view this late child, this latecomer, as any part of their own lives. They're about to leave for college. They want out. The fact that mom and dad are starting all over with an infant as soon as they are out the door is, disgusting as far as they're concerned. And the other big question is, what's it going to be like for that kid when they realize, all of the implications of that birth order and that huge gap. And in fact, that latecomer is having an entirely different life experience than their older siblings. So a lot of craziness in this family. I love writing about characters who are just not nice people, not terrifically good people. I never mind being told by readers that the characters are unlikable, at least at the outset. I think that's terrific. Not everybody, likes that, but I do.
No, and you got the fact that you could have 3 siblings and each one is going to have a different childhood. My brother always said to me, I can't believe we have the same parents.
Right.
Well, we grew up in the same house. Like, what
even
happened?
the difference between the first child and the second child is enormous, because when you're a first child, your parents are terrified. They don't know what they're doing. They've never had a child before. When the second child comes along, they know what to expect. And that's a different childhood experience. So, I mean, birth order is endlessly fascinating, I think.
Without question. And I have to tell you, which I thought you did so brilliantly, was the father of the family. Mm-hmm. From the very beginning, has a response to pictures, to paintings, to art that is really extraordinary, and will make you, if you don't really understand art or have any interest, the impact that art can have on people's lives, how they're literally, some people, overcome by what to you may look like a mess of color and someone else something extraordinary.
Yeah, that is actually a real thing. It's called the Stendhal syndrome, and it was named in the 19th century for European tourists who literally fainted before great art. And when this father, Salo Oppenheimer, who's going to build his own private museum of incredibly important, mid-20th century paintings, first encounters a Cy Twombly in a museum in Europe, he literally faints before it, and that is just his first encounter with the art that is going to impact him so deeply. He's a very troubled guy, and he's been responsible through an accident, a terrible accident, for the deaths of 2 people. And this is not a spoiler. It's in the first paragraph of the novel. But art is the only thing that really helps him at all. And I have to admit that I am not particularly knowledgeable about art. But I have a friend who is, and I reached out to that friend, and we kind of together put together the fantasy art collection of this character.
Oh, and it's really good. It's also not only about art collecting, but it's about, and I understand that so well because for over 11 years we lived in rural Vermont, and the highlight was going to yard sales, tag sales, old houses, going through such garbage, and you would find a treasure. Yeah. And that's and you had them finding treasures. And that was never part of your DNA.
Well, no, I'm quite an obsessive, garage sailor and flea marketer and antiques person, but I have the flip side of collecting is hoarding, and I love all these TV shows about hoarding. I'm totally obsessed with them, and one of the triplets does sort of go down into that world, not as a hoarder, but as somebody who goes into these houses and kind of liberates them. And all of these things kind of weave together with the story of these 4 kids. There's a triplet who becomes a right-wing ideologue. There's one who almost converts to a different religion. They all are going in different directions, and it's really up to this latecomer, this child born 18 years later, whom they could not get away from fast enough, who really brings them together and kind of solves the riddle of their family. And that's why it's so satisfying, especially the last third of the book is really a kind of very joyful, coalescing of these storylines. You got to get there, but once you're there, I'm told that you can't stop reading at that point. I couldn't stop writing at that point.
Well, and I couldn't stop reading. Did you know an Oppenheimer family before you created
not really.
them?
I mean, in terms of the name, I mean, the name was chosen, nothing to do with the father of the atom bomb. The name was chosen in homage to a real person who lived in the 18th century who was a scapegoat and a martyr, a Jewish martyr in Stuttgart. He was known as Oppenheimer, and his kind of nom de plume was Yud Zeus. And 200 years later, Goebbels made a propaganda film about him called Yud Zeus, which was used to fire up anti-Semitism in Nazi Germany. So I wanted to remind people that this was a real person. In real life, he had no living descendants, but so the nice thing about being a novelist is that you do control the world. You are in charge. And I was able to make this family, the Oppenheimers of Brooklyn, his descendants.
Right. And you also threw in real estate, too. That,
always.
But that real estate is
good.
good.
Not to write about great houses.
I know. We love great houses. And we love all the discoveries that we have in this book. And the book is funny, too. So when the plot, a huge success, the book prior to this, yes. What's happened to that book?
Well, it's about to be filmed. It's going to star Mahershala Ali, and that's very exciting. I am not involved in the making of it, but the producer keeps me posted on where we are, and I think they're going to start filming in January. So that's really exciting. And The Latecomer also is being developed for television for a limited series, and we're not as far along on that one, so I have nothing to report. But I think it's going to be a great TV show. There are a lot of great parts in this book, and I think actors enjoy playing complicated, flawed, not very nice people as much as some of us enjoy writing them.
I know. And are you still doing your pop-up book sessions?
I am. And what a timely question, because just today, the fall schedule was posted on the website and on Eventbrite, and we've got Steve Martin, and we've got A.M. Holmes and Edmund White, and there's a real mix of books, Chris Pavone and Taffy Brodesser, Ackner, and it's a great list this fall. And we're doing them in person in Manhattan. Everybody has to be vaccinated and masked, but we're also doing them online simultaneously. So if you're not in New York, or the event you're interested in is sold out, you can attend over Zoom, and the Zoom attendees also get to ask the author questions. So it's a lot of work, but I have to say it's a lot of fun too.
I'm sure. And I love your story. You've written books since you came out of school, and yet when you write a book that everyone talks about, it's like a new discovery.
I know. I was an overnight success at 60 years old. Pretty funny. Overnight success with my 7th novel. But, I am a grateful person, and I was always very aware that for a mid-list author like myself to continue to be published and well published was, nothing to sneeze at. It was, a real accomplishment, and it could not have happened without really a devoted agent who never cut me loose because I never made any money, and a great editor who believed in me, and in fact, who believed in me so much that she wouldn't let me publish The Latecomer until it was right, and that meant turning it down several times before it was right. So, I am incredibly supported by these two women, and it's not empty speech to say that I wouldn't be here without them.
Well, it's a very exciting time in your life. Congratulations.
Thank you, Joan.
I love reading it. It's by Hanff Korelitz, and it's Celadon Books. All the best to you and your family. We'll talk again.
Thanks, Joan.
Hello, folks. Larry Kudlow here. Pay attention, because China is leading the largest anti-American alliance since World War II. One that's already dumped U.S. bonds, grabbed 43 million acres of our farmland, and is plotting to dethrone the dollar. That's why IRA and 401k savers are protecting their savings with gold. Please go to freegoldguide.com/Kudlow or just call 800-621-3908 for your free gold guide on how to protect your wealth with gold 100% tax-free.